Welcome back to the Hit Factor podcast. I'm joined by Saul, and Jeff and Jeremy have permission to join their own podcast if they want to. I said that they can join, and I sent them a link. But they are also probably putting their kids to bed, like all of us have to do at some point during the day.
Yeah, one of mine's going down, and one of mine's waiting for me.
Okay, well, yeah. See, this is as is life. I remember some of the best times as a kid were when my dad would read to me and my brother. We had bunk beds next to each other, but they were two separate rooms, but we cut a hole in the wall, and my dad would sit with a pillow in the hole. It's a large hole that we cut in the wall between, and then read Harry Potter or whatever books, and then he'd always fall asleep. And we'd be like, Dad, wake up.
Wait, so you guys would sit in your own rooms, and there was this crawl space sort of hole that you cut in, so the two of you could talk to each other, and you're up on your own top bunks, because you both wanted top bunks.
We both wanted.
And then your dad's sitting on the floor with a pillow, reading to the two of you.
Yeah, he actually was set because there was a platform that kind of connected the two top bunks, so he would sit in between on that platform right in the wall intersection.
And I'm assuming this is all stuff you guys built.
Yeah, my dad built I think he built it that way too. When it was moved onto our house. Anyway, just great memories of that. It was good times.
And now we're preventing our kids from developing them by talking about shooting instead.
Ah, man. Well, mine are already asleep, but that's we're just weird. So, but yes, now we are only once. Only once.
I mean, we could talk about our new iPhones for 15 minutes.
Oh wait, what should we talk about for 15 minutes?
Nothing. I'm sorry.
We definitely should. I don't know what you said, but we should do that. We've got ourselves 2 minutes in. I understand why, or how Jeff and Jeremy could talk about something random for 45 minutes and not talk about shooting. It just happens. It could happen. We can try to prevent that, I suppose, by talking about shooting. Let's really quick recap some matches. Not in a sense of, see, Jeremy says I would join, but I'm on dad duty tonight. There's been a couple of good matches recently that, so there was South Carolina, and then, and by good matches, I mean they're the only matches that have happened, I guess.
South Carolina looks like a good match. I mean, I think they've got a good crew there. They've hosted it there for several years. They know what they're doing. They've got a good format. I think the weather was cooperative this year. Yeah.
I shot that match last year. You were going to, but you got snowed out. And then Alabama State happened. I didn't look at it clearly at Alabama as much as I did with South Carolina, but this thing with the slide ride optics, those two divisions, carry optics and limited optics, are becoming both of them very popular, and we still have the need for merging those two results.
Oh yeah, so you have a 300-person section match, and 240 of the people will be carry optics and limited optics. South Carolina limited optics 1, and Alabama carry optics 1, right? So not to cast shade on the individuals, but it's so the limited optics winner, they win. Those are the rules in play at time. They won Alabama, and they came 4th if you combine the two, which means anyone of the top 3 in carry optics who didn't win, who wanted to win limited optics, by a registration change, not by an equipment change, by a registration change, won limited optics. And that's not the fault of the person who won limited optics at Alabama. They don't choose other people's registration. It's just a ridiculous artifact of the current system.
No, it's something that we're so close to having what would be one massive, awesome division. And by awesome, I mean at least we have more people competing against each other. That's what I mean by awesome.
Yeah, if 80% of the match is in the same division, That's good.
I'm being completely honest when I'm saying this. I mean, if everyone shot revolver, I would shoot revolver, and we would have an awesome division because it would all be the same. I mean, I like that element of it. I would like that to happen. I mean, I don't care what it is. It's going to end up being what's kind of popular, which is optics right now, and slide ride seems to be popular. So, but I don't know. It's interesting to just look
So,
at that.
in terms of recapping results,
Yeah.
who won then in South Carolina?
Oh, for slide ride? I actually don't. I forget now.
I'll give you a hint. He shoots 2011s normally that are louder.
Oh no. What is happening? It's been too long since I looked at the results for that.
He works for the AMU.
Oh yeah, yes, of course. Eden or Aaron Edens, whichever one. Aaron won.
We're gonna go with Edens.
We'll go with Edens. Yeah, Edens won.
And in Alabama, Brantley won.
That's correct, and that does it for a recap for matches. That's pretty in depth, isn't it? Did we do it?
It's sort of all the news that you need to follow things. Next week, we've got the Georgia Peach Classic and the Delmarva Sectional. And then the match season really gets going. Pretty much every weekend there's a major between now and September.
Yeah. And you're going to be at the Peach Classic?
Life permitting, yes.
Yeah, that's always that's always a factor.
I mean, if it snows really hard, that's just not my choice.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that could happen, or it could be great. I think we're in the clear now. It's only sunny days from now on. Good training days as well. No rain. It only rains at night. In the predicted future.
Which forecast do you have, man? It must be really nice out there in down east Maine where it's not still 40s and rainy most days.
Yeah, no, that's
I moved to the wrong part of Maine.
Yeah, this is actually, it's right over my very specific region. Yeah, the farm. It rains at night and the sun comes out during the day.
All right. I'm gonna drive a steamroller through this conversation because you and I are enjoying ourselves, but nobody else will. So you recently posted, probably posted to Instagram, but I don't have that. But it showed up. The algorithm said, "Saul, you'll want to see this on YouTube." A short of 2 runs.
Yeah.
So are you still doing this sort of head-to-head comparison? Is that a live training technique for you?
Yeah, but it's not exclusive all the time. It's not like I'm going to do 2 runs of everything and then specifically look at the times. But I will, every session I pretty much go out, will test 2 runs back to back on something. Like today it was on just a really simple, I had a partial at 25 and I shot 6 at that, and then I shot 1 at, and then there was a wide transition to a piece of steel and another piece of steel. And I shot that array static twice, and that was my comparison. And it's still the thing that we've talked about in the past of comparing a run, first run, second run, with the goal being, and this is what you and I have talked about, of that confidence that you have on the second run. I want that on the first run. And same with dry fire. I did it today where there was a sequence, and I walked it one time. And I thought I can run this in my head once and then I can execute it okay. And then I made myself walk it another 4 times and try to iron some stuff out. And that was effective. That helps just to pick up on details of hitting a certain position or whatever.
Yeah, there's a really cool thing that happens in training that I should remember for matches, where I'll have a sequence and I'll walk it and I'll be like, okay, that's my plan. I'm good to go. And then for whatever reason, like you just said, I'll be like, all right, we'll walk it again. And I walk it again and I don't hit the same spots that I did the first time.
Yeah.
The presentations of the targets are a little bit different. The entry's a little bit different. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. if I want a specific thing to happen, I have to have the concept for what I want to have happen, and I have to program that. Like, I do have to make it happen, not in the moment under the timer, but beforehand. Because if I don't make it happen, I'll just get whatever happens.
Yeah, yeah, and it's got to be, and I feel it a lot of the times in the walkthrough where all my feet will land in a certain position, and I'll feel like a good balance of where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm my weight is now on this foot, which is ready to push off into the next position. And however I did that, I need to figure out how to do that every time. And
Yeah, and intentionally, right? Like,
yeah,
so you instinctively or serendipitously or however you did a thing that's an effective thing, and now you need to take control and like ownership of that and make it a planned thing.
yeah, and not just like look at it. And this is going to get to what I just find so interesting to talk about, which is like rating things as good or bad. Um, but instead of just doing a walkthrough and just a random walkthrough on a stage and being like, it could even be before we shoot, you shoot the stage a day before or something, and you're like, ooh, yeah, that position right there, that felt pretty good. My work is done here. Like that was good. And instead, looking at like what gets that. So like what do I do to hit that position? And usually like it's something, this just reminds me of Tyler. I feel like Tyler Turner has said this many times. Um but like there was something that you have to focus in on that got you that. And then maybe it's a spot on the ground. Maybe it was like backing up with two really big steps on a close target, and then you're landing in exactly where you need to be. But you have to pay attention to that, and then you have to do that. Uh, like it's not nothing's free.
Yeah. So, and again, we've had half of this conversation, but here's the other half.
Yeah.
I was doing a little bit of, me versus me training over the weekend. That's also not something I've been doing all of the time, but it's something I've been doing a little bit at the time. Because typically, then if something comes up, like a specific sequence or a series of targets, then I'll just kind of noodle on that for a while and play with that element. But I
Yep.
was doing some me versus me, and I had some great first runs. And I'm putting like a big asterisk, like, because this is exactly the thing you were just describing. Like, what's a great first run? And so, I had a first run where, I'm done with it, and I'm like, I can't beat that. So on one hand, it was like, great, this is putting pressure on my second run. Instead of the anticipated second run pressuring my first run, here I am pressuring my second run. Can you do what you just did again? So I thought, well, this is good. But then after I was done shooting, and sometimes the second run won, sometimes it didn't, I thought that's not a very valuable observation that was a great run. Because what did I do to make it great? I've shut off observations, and I've just sort of like wrapped a bow around the whole thing and said good.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, just do good again. Versus if I'm observing, not judging, if I'm observing and I'm reflecting on what happened, then I can sort of reflect on, oh, I shot this target and my eyes like went to a spot on the steel, and like I felt my my shoulders sort of track my eyes, and then I shifted my weight to my right foot, and then I pushed out of that position as soon as I called a shot on the steel. Right? That's what happened. That's what made it a good run. But
Yeah.
if I just like wrap a string around it and call it good, I don't know that. And so then when I go to do it better, how do I do it better? I'll just
You
do what I
just
did, but try harder.
yeah. I mean this is exactly where it is. Like I think about the stages, because what means like I'll walk up to a stage, and somewhere in the back of my mind it'll be like, all right, I should probably shoot this stage good. So then and when I do shoot a stage well, it's because I did like a lot of that specific work before, uh on like just where I'm gonna land. And maybe it's not a ton of stuff, but it's just specific in some ways, um that that make everything and the whole stage connect together. And that just has to be done.
Yeah, and so parts of a stage can be very familiar, and so it feels very
Yeah.
familiar. So I don't have to do much, and it will flow. But there might be a specific thing that I have to do so that I'll be in that position for it to flow. So it's not always a lot of work, but it's specific work.
What are the conditions that you like when you're at a match? Are you finding yourself like, is it easy for you to decide that like, oh, hey, I want to work hard on the prep of this stage, or like
No, that's really it's aversive to me. It feels like work. I mean, it feels like a boss telling me to do something. That's like really the sensation. It's the difference between going out and playing with your hands and having a boss come by and be like, hey, get all those old nails out of those boards, right? It's like, no, I don't want to.
No.
It's like, hey, stack up the cinder blocks.
I mean,
no.
I would have done it with a lot of fun if you didn't just come over and tell me to do that.
But no, I mean, that's how it feels like in a match. And I mean, that's partly a pressure response, and it's something I'm thinking a lot about is how can I get myself to do the work that I will enjoy the fruits of that feels hard in the moment.
Yeah.
Because especially with programming, it's like, oh, good enough. Like I'll get to a spot and I'm like, oh, this is good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I was just thinking about this now as listening to you and everything. I that comes up like for me at a match when I feel most like doing that work is when I am in like when I'm in the game or I feel like I'm in the game or I'm somehow, like someone just shot a really good run or someone didn't shoot a really good run, or I'm aware of what if for me, this is totally for me, I'm aware of what the score is. Like that is an element that has for sure helped me. On like I'm aware
so you feel driven to do the work when the rewards of the work are closely connected. So the thing that you can control is there versus in the abstract. If you were shooting a match that was a pure postal match, like how many times, yeah. So imagine a pure postal match. You just shoot it by yourself, honor system. How many walkthroughs would you do? Maybe fewer than when you're contesting a match head to head with 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah. Because there has to be the perceived importance, and the closer that's tied to you, I feel, at least for me, the closer that it's tied to me, and the closer that I can see it, or whatever, then the better I can do the prep.
So this is where we need Jeff and Jeremy, because this is really closely related to sprinting. Because how hard can you push yourself by yourself with nobody watching when nobody will know? And at least for me, I can't go as fast as if there are people watching, or I'm chasing someone, or I'm being chased, right?
Yeah, I think about, it's so funny you say that, because when I think about running, or like especially if I'm running harder for a longer amount of time, I think about like if I was being chased by something that was like really fast, but like how hard would I go and how long could I sustain that? Like that'll cross my mind. Not that that is enough to do it for me. On like, oh, I think you're muted still, or I can't hear you, or maybe not. There you are.
I don't think I'm. How about now? Oh yeah, if there was a tiger behind you, could you run a little bit harder?
Yeah,
a little bit longer.
And I think like probably I could. But anyway, that's about as far as that thought goes when I'm running.
So I'm wondering then how to have that level of preparation, and then, we haven't talked about this, but is part of the aversion to the preparation the expectations that come with it? That judgment piece, if I'm trying to move away from judgment and I prepare extensively and I don't get the desired result, right? That feel worse?
Yeah. I get the yeah. I get what you're saying. And this is where it gets back to the thing. It's like in training, perhaps that could be the case. But at a match where you need to do something, then it's like it's worth the risk of
So you make this really specific, right? So you in particular, but pretty much everyone who's played for a while, has an unloaded start that's faster than they will ever use in a match.
yes.
So in training, you just create a mini stage and you're like unloaded start. Well, it's you. You're just gonna run it once, or even if it's head to head twice.
Yep.
How hard do you push on that? And how do you set that calibration? And you sit there and actually do like micro programming of all of the pieces of it to recall?
No.
Or do you just do good enough?
I just do the unloaded start.
Right, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
But could you get a better result if you programmed it?
Probably.
Then why don't you?
Because it's such a weird circumstance because it's me versus me. So like why don't I program in that instance? Why don't I program it?
I don't know. Like, again, I don't have an answer to that question. I just know that I put in some unloaded starts the other day, and I just did the very safe, comfortable, like almost pause at the mag while unloaded starts because I didn't want to take on the risk of bobbling my load on my own training that nobody can see.
Yeah. Well, so that it's so interesting with those because bobbling an unloaded start feels so bad in the moment.
Well, it has the potential, so I should actually be doing those max effort so I can get used to having a setback and then maintaining a state of calm for everything that follows after it.
Yeah, that's how we should actually be doing them. I mean, I think I did it.
I don't.
Yeah, that would be good to try that, like just to start a little mini stage with them, but just to throw max effort at the unloaded start with proper programming.
Well, and can you force yourself to program that? Because I mean, I can't because it's a road activity I've done so many times that it's not interesting to program it. So I'll just sort of skip to the result. So if I even thought about this is so in the weeds, but I'm still going to say it. If I even thought about an unloaded start in programming it, my brain would do the shortcuts to what it looks like or feels like when it goes well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it stepwise. Versus if we talked about entering a really specific position and shifting the balance of weight as I transition between targets, I could program that in some detail because it's kind of an interesting challenge. It's not something I've done tens of thousands of times.
Yeah. This is exactly what we had talked earlier today. We need to stop doing that. We had to though. It was necessary.
Extenuating circumstances. We're worried about Jed's hand.
Yeah, we were. Happy birthday, Jed. Welcome to old age, right? Is that what it is? Is 30
Yeah,
old?
he's 30. Yeah, he's pretty old now.
Yeah, that's pretty old. But this is like the idea of being new at something and the...
I wasn't even going there with that. This is good. Never mind. Perfect. This is a way better thought. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking if I was new at doing unloaded starts and I had done like 5 reps in dry fire and then I went over and shot a mini stage that had an unloaded start and I was really kind of excited about how I would get one that was like, good. Then I would probably, program it in a way that was appropriate for the skill.
Yeah, so I think sometimes we can get access to a pretty high level of performance from unfamiliar or novel tasks because they're interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like...
And I think sometimes it's hard to get that same level of performance from a familiar task.
Well, so this is why matches that other people set up that have people competing alongside you doing a task that's new on a stage that you've never shot before is interesting because there is that new feeling. Like it's so hard to set up in training something new because they're my walls, they're my target stands. I stapled up the targets. I
You
do
had a
all this stuff.
concept for where you were going to move them before you got there, and then even if you sort of react randomly to sort of the props you have out and the walls and the target stands, there's still, you're manipulating things within like a universe that you control.
Yeah. So familiar with it. But I don't know. There's like, I mean, obviously there's a benefit to having done so many unloaded starts that they just kind of happen on their own.
Yeah, but again, maybe for you, but for me, they don't happen that much faster than anybody else's if I just have them happen on their own.
Well then, yeah, so I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you trained them more by doing them quicker, then they would probably, like, you're just kind of lazy unloaded start would probably be quicker than other people's.
A little bit. I do a funny thing with things like unloaded starts is I'll do in dry fire really lazy, and I'll do it with a timer so I can get the time right from the hammer fall. So I'll do it lazy, and then I'll tell myself, "Well, do it and take 1500ths off." And maybe it'll be 1200ths, maybe it'll be 0.2. But basically, I do that, and I'll do that again, and I'll do that again, and I'll see at what increment I start to miss them. Like, what level of effort do I start to fail at? Like, what is trying too hard and what is not trying hard enough? And then it's a really discrete activity, so reloads, unloaded starts, that sort of thing. It's easy to do like that. It's hard to do that in a 27-round stage. What's the right level of effort?
Yeah, no, that's true. It's a true. Yeah, same with draws. Like doing a draw.
Exactly, you're gonna like, oh, really clean draw. All I care about is grip and my dot sort of appearing exactly where I'm looking. You're like, okay, let me do that again harder.
Yeah, let me do that again harder. I'll measure it this time, and then I'll be like, I mean, like I probably could do that a little bit quicker, and then you do.
Yeah, it's actually with draws, I'll do that specifically. I'll be like, okay, I want to draw, and I'll have a time in mind. Like, I want to know what that draw feels like. I'll do that draw, and then I'll work it down until I can't.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit of measuring things is real, and that's why I find it interesting to measure the difference between my first and second run on something.
Yeah, I mean, just as humans, like if we measure it, we improve it.
Yeah, I had a run. My second run was slightly faster, and I looked through. I compared side by side the splits, and you and I talked about this. This is so common. Is like every single thing. I would be like, yeah, I'm 13 seconds into the stage at this point, and I'm just like a hair ahead on the second run, and it's built up, and I'm like, I'm a tenth ahead at 13 seconds in on my second run, and that tenth has built over the past whatever shots. Like even the splits, like everything's just a tiny bit quicker on the second run.
So I even had a thought about that I hadn't mentioned to you. So I had two specific runs like that where the first run, my observation was I performed the thing I wanted to do. I thought that's going to be hard to beat. I do it again. I did beat it. And like you were mentioning, every transition, every split, the draw was 200ths faster, right? Like between two positions was 300ths faster. So, I mean, it was tiny, but it was each element, and it was every single element was as good or slightly better.
Yeah.
And then I thought afterwards, well, maybe it's familiarity, but maybe I just drew to a better grip.
Yeah.
Right? Like it could be something that simple. And if I have a better grip, then I have a little bit more confidence starting and stopping the gun, and I split a little bit quicker, and my index is cleaner because, grip and index work together. Like the better my grip is, the more familiar it is. So maybe I didn't do it better the second round. Like maybe the draw was marginally better and I had a better grip the whole time. I don't think that's the case, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I often think about that. Like runs are dependent on that so much, and this is like, what if I started with my grip from the beginning? I bet times on those, especially with relatively simple simple movements with lots of transitions and shooting, I bet the times would close up more if the grip was the same.
yeah, if I could start with my hands on the gun and just, start it just angled off one of the targets.
Yeah.
Even then, though, yes, the second run, I suspect when I'm shooting well, everything will just be a hair better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like and I don't know, it's not frustrating to me in the moment. It can be, and I have felt that before, but like the more I do it, uh, the more it just becomes interesting to observe what I did on the first run or what I did on the second run. And that's what I want to do.
I wanted it to be in that observation mode. For me, the acute experience of this exact one was not frustration; it was disappointment.
Yeah.
It was like I thought the first run was
Oh yeah.
was everything I had. Like I moved as hard as I could. My transitions were so crisp and clean. It's like that is the best I can shoot on this day. And
Yep.
then I did it 6% better.
Yeah, you're already like you finished run one and you're already kind of feeling bad for, the person who's going to run the second one, and they're like, yeah, they're sorry, they're not going to have really a chance here.
Yeah. Nobody's touching that one.
I mean, in that case, it was true.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. But I mean, that was the feeling. It was like I don't know what I could do better, and then it turns out absolutely everything. I could do absolutely everything better. By the biggest gap was maybe 700ths for any one thing, and everything else was between 1 and 7. I mean, it's minuscule, and then it adds up to 0.4 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, but 0.4 on like a 7 or 8 second drill is like, oh, that's a lot. Like it
Yeah.
In that's not a lot to someone who's brand new. That is a lot to someone who's been doing this for a long time and can, shoot well.
Yeah, I mean, 0.4 on an 8-second stage is significant.
Yeah. That's not like, oh, I see the first number is the same. Like, no, like this matters now.
And especially, again, it doesn't matter in a match context if it's you versus one other opponent in your trading stages. Where it matters is if it's you versus one other opponent and it's every stage.
Yeah.
You're that 0.4 behind. The same person. Right?
Yes.
Like, this is where it's different. It's like, yes, I can have my best run, and it's my best run. And it's not the winning run, and that's okay. But if you're competing with one or two or however many people, and it's the same person who's winning by that edge every time, the math just doesn't work. There's not a way around that.
Yeah, that person might end up finishing the match pretty well.
They probably will.
They probably will. I think there's some historic context to this as well.
Oh, there's lots, actually. I wasn't even thinking of anything in particular.
I immediately was thinking of something, yeah. 0.4 average per stage is a real thing. A real number that
I should have picked a different number, but yeah. And I mean, it's funny because if I can do that against myself in training, then I can also see how, again, whoever it is I'm competing with can do that against me.
Yeah.
Because it's real and it's possible. And you're like, oh, what could I do better? It's like I could do everything marginally better. So it's like, what is this person beating me on? It's not movement. It's not transitions, right? It's not gun handling. It's like they can find... I mean, in many cases, when people are beating me by large margins, which they often do, yes, it's all of those things. But in this specific instance, it's like, why is my second run beating my first run? It's like, because I just did absolutely everything a hair sooner.
Yeah.
And a different person who isn't me, too, could also do that.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I think that this gap comes down. I mean, I think I've experienced it, too, with this gap shrinks the more regular that I shoot, because of the timing and the familiar pieces of just like the gun going off, and my confidence with like the grip that I have is good, and I can draw into that, like that, then that gap comes down. If I'm shooting like not as frequently, then I think I see bigger numbers between 1 and 2.
and this has been a weird one, and so this won't be one of our winners, and that's okay. But what you were saying right there is, and I'm not saying this in a strong way for anyone else. It's just kind of where my head goes with it. I'm less and less interested in my cold shooting. I don't think my cold run is interesting to me. I'm interested in being warm every time I want to perform.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in what I can do if I just walk out into the range, dry fire 3 times into the berm, and then give it my best. That's not interesting to me. I'm interested when I'm having these really good second runs, like what the things that I can control that contribute to that, how I can do that when I want to in a performance context.
Yes, that is the whole purpose of this. It's not looking at who wins run 1 or 2, or looking at all of this or the comparison stuff. It's what you just said there, which is that feeling on run 2 of being ready
and being familiar and knowing what's needed, and there's a confidence piece too. And
yep.
Yeah, and so what I really want to train is I want to train shooting warm. I don't want to train to improve my cold performance. I want to improve my ability to shoot my warm performance.
Yeah.
On demand.
Yeah. This is where...
But those are different, right? And so there are people who really want to stress minimal preparation. It's great. There is value in that too. But right now I'm more interested in how can I get the performance level that when the gun feels really familiar, the index is really clean and well developed. And
yeah, and this doesn't mean that every session I go out I'm going to put 25 minutes into preparing to shoot one thing, because I'm going to set some stuff up, I'm going to go out and I'm going to shoot it and I'm going to be done, because I'll be
and I'm not going to do a full preparation on every stage and shoot at every match either, I promise.
No, but that's what's interesting, and that turns into real time on a stage. Being warm and ready and prepared to shoot really is
right, and it's I don't know if it's where people end up, but there's gains that I can get, and this is what I think of, how can I perform better as I am right now, not by being better. Being better is absolutely always the goal.
Yep.
But how can I perform better with the tools I have available to me now? And it's this.
Yeah.
It's how can I sort of create that sense and that sensibility of warm shooting.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, because right now there's more or there's something there that's possible without training more. It's just by...
Yeah. I mean, there's somewhere between 5 and 10%.
Yeah. There's a lot of
relative me, right? Not relative any of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think we've recorded for long enough where people won't comment on the YouTube thing that they're disappointed that it was only 20 minutes, Because we did go... This is 40 now.
I'll be fair, we only did 20 minutes of shooting content.
Oh, man, you're right.
But I'm being kicked out of my recording studio, and my son needs me to go read to him.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And we don't have a cool little hole in the wall, so...
Well, you can cut one anytime you want.
Yeah, this is true. I do have a Sawzall, so I can fix this.
Anyway, that is it for the Hit Factor podcast this time. Jeff and Jeremy will be joining you next week. I'm just putting that out there just in case they do.